All right. I am working on my Seven Wonders game engine in Node.js. And I don't usually stream on Saturdays, but I figured, why not? And since it's pretty quiet in here, I can do some boring stuff. And the boring stuff I'm going to do is basically take all the cards from the game and enter them into a program. I still don't know how I'm going to encode all this information. Um, some kind of value object is what I'm thinking. It would be nice. Actually, I should see if there is a list out there. Maybe it'll prevent me from having to code all of that stuff in, type it all in. Let's see. How about we do a quick search for Seven Wonders card list Excel. Excel. Would be awesome if. Oh, I think I found it. I think I found one. Seven Wonders card list. XLS. Woo. May just have saved myself a bunch of work. That would be great. Okay. We've got the name, we've got the type. We have the age, the number of players. Wait a minute. Does that mean? Oh yeah, okay. Only problem is it's missing. It's missing the effect. And the cost. And the cost. And it's also missing the chaining. It's giving some cards actually allow the building of other cards for free, and you don't have that information here. Still, it might be that we could start with that, at least. You know, don't show me what's coming soon. Thank you. So, okay. That's nice. Let's see if we can get in, how about this? A spreadsheet detailing the number of each card in the game for each number of players and also showing the cost and effects of the cards. Aha! Let's take a look at this one. Ooh, fancy schmancy. What is going on here? Guilds. What? Seven Wonder card list. Okay, he's got it both here and there. What the heck is this and that? And okay, he's got his own kind of system. Ooh, and per age. Okay. So the brown cards. 111 TOC. Okay, that's the cost. I'm guessing that's the cost. So these would be like one. Well, actually, why speculate? Let's just compare it with So if we go lumberyard, it's free. These are all free. Or stone pit, clay pool. And then the tree farm is 1 coin. Yeah, okay. Excavation is 1 coin. Clay pit's 1 coin. Timber yard is 1 coin. So this column here seems to be the cost. So, enable editing, please. And this would be, yep, okay, this would be the cost. And what is this? T. Lumberyard gives T is timber, maybe? Stone pit gives stone. Clay pool gives clay. Ore vein gives ore. Okay, O. And then tree farm is a choice between timber and, no, that's not right, tree farm. There's a choice between timber and clay. Okay, I get the system here. If we move on to gray, loom produces, well, I guess just, okay, loom, glass, press. Gotcha. What about these now? Blue cards. Okay, so squiggly brackets is equal to victory points. I like it. It's kind of like the wreath. Okay. Tavern would be yellow. Tavern. Okay, so when it's between normal parentheses, it's coins. Now, East Trading Post. East Trading Post. 1. Oh, I like it. Okay, clay, stone. Oh, he's got that wrong. Or, what's W? Wood? Okay, so he's changed his system there because he's using T for the timber. So this should be clay, stone, T for timber, and O for ore. But I think he just O for ore and then W for wood. But anyways, I get what he's doing, and then the arrow shows you. That's not a bad way to encode the information at all. Kind of like it. So this would be effect. Okay. And then we don't really care about totals, but that's cool. Let's see here. What's the X? Stockade. X is, okay, that's the value of military might value. Cool. And these, he's got apothecary. That's a symbol for, okay. Right on. That's for 7 players though. I see what, oh, he's got it for like each 6 players, and then interesting. If I just look at the official one here though, how do they have it set up? Right. So, apothecary is the ampersand. The cost is L. What is L? The loom? Is that right? Yeah, that's right. 3 plus 5 plus, which means How many for each player? I like it. I like it indeed. It's good stuff. And it also gives you a discount on the gives you a discount on the stables and on the dispensary. Very cool. Very cool. Now, all we need to do is, let me see if I took a look at this to see if, what was it, East Trading Post. I think there was a problem with clay, stone, or, yeah, so it should be, if I want it to be exactly the same, it should be or timber, and no, stone, timber, and ore. Yeah, and then West Trading Post is exactly the same thing, but the other way around for the other player, the left player. Okay, so timber and ore, and then LGP for the marketplace, which means, yeah, for some reason they're not in the same order as the card itself. So let's change that. It's glass, loom, press. Uh-huh. Like it. Like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Caravansary? Caravansary. Okay, cool. So he's using the whatever that sign is, @ sign, the @ sign for the workshop. So the wheel, okay, cool. And the hashtag for the whatever tablet looking thing. That's a pretty good system. It's a pretty good system. Then I could just I could export that to a CSV, and then I could just get my program to read to parse the CSV file and instantiate cards from that. I think it's doable. It's doable. So here's what we're going to do. How are we going to do this? Resources. Ah, he's got his explanation here. We got wood. Really should be timber for some reason. He's got coins, points, shield, science, glass loom, paper. Oh, paper. Press, paper. Okay, whatever. Okay. Am I like screwing up the whole thing here? Well, he's got T. He's got T for the. So why does he say W? No, he's using T here, and he's using T here again. So I guess he switched at some point. Started off thinking he would be using W, and then he ended up using T. Yeah, because we got T's all over the place now here. Yep. So T for timber. Cool. Let me just save as. Where am I going to put this? I'm going to put this in not source code, cards. Just put it there for now. Now, okay. Can I work I can probably rework this a little bit so that it is a little easier to use and parse. For instance, I don't need this. Let's get rid of that. Boom. Whoa. What is that? Players. M. The M field. Here we've got 1, and here we've got zeros. Oh, okay. I think I get it. You just put in a number of players, and it tells you how many of each cards you're supposed to have. So if we're 7 players, for instance, then it says, okay, you should have 2 lumber yards, you should have 2 stone pits, and blah, 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 blah. In total, you should have 49 cards. Yay, cool. We're essentially going to have a function that does that. But now we're not really interested in this. So yeah, I can do away with this. Let's clean this up. Well, actually, let's copy. Let's see, save as. If I try to save this as a, oh, that's always a problem though, eh? Which kind of CSV should I be using? Won't even know the difference. UTF-8. I could even have XML. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a way to export JSON from Excel to JSON? That would be really cool. With all the messages. Don't you know I'm streaming? Okay. Alright, let's see what happens with, I have a feeling this UTF-8, comma, delimited would be a good option. So let's just save it in there. For now, the selected type file does not support workbooks that contain multiple sheets. To save only the active sheet, click OK. Oh yeah. And that's actually what I want, so that's cool. So let's try that. So file, save as. We'll call that age1. Save it in CSV UTF-8. Boom. Yes, please. Possible data loss. Some features might be lost. If you save this workbook in the comma delimited CSV format. To preserve these features, save it in Excel format. Save as. Page 1. Well, didn't I already did that? Oh, okay, it's just like a reminder. Oh, that's weird. What? That is not what I was expecting. Look at you. So this is still an Excel sheet? They just changed the name. That's really weird. Okay, I'm gonna close that now. This one. What if I try? Okay, it did save a CSV. Alright. And here's what it looks like. as an extension that can, yeah. If you've got anything that can help me, Excel Viewer, I like it. Rainbow CSV. What do these things do? Highlight CSV and TSV files in different colors. Run SQL-like queries. Extension to edit CSV files. These seem to be very popular. Requires Visual Studio Codes. And no longer requires access to external CDN. CSV usage. For file with a CSV, TSV, or tab extension, use the Explorer Content menu or editor type menu to invoke the open. Ooh, I like it. I am getting that. Yes, please. Yes, please. Okay, so could I have somehow, I'll just close all of this up. Don't save anything. That, do that. Oh, I don't want this extension to be okay, there we go. Do I need to reload? No, I don't. Good. So, let's say let's get rid of this for now. Don't need it. I'm not going to be working in this here. This file is not displayed in the editor because it is either binary and uses an unsupported text encoding. Do you want to open it anyway? Well, I thought I was... Open preview? Aha. Okay. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay. So I'll rework it first. Recycle bin. I've got a cards thing here, so let's move that there. Move. I guess I should be opening it with Excel. Seven Wonders. Cards. Okay, good. I see what it's doing. All right, so I'll get rid of this completely. Delete. There we go. Get rid of this. Delete. I don't need this again. Delete. I don't really care to have these totals in the file. Or do I? I don't know, but I should have a name here. Okay. And how about discount 1 and discount 2. And so that's the amount of players. Yep. I think that'll work. Now, is there a use for this? Do I need this in the file as I instantiate my... No, I don't really need this here. Let's get rid of it. Clean all of that up. Delete. And I'm left with this. The cost, the name, yeah, why is the name, let's put, can't I just grab and no, how does, I haven't been using Excel lately. I don't think you can just do that, so let's just maybe X, and then insert cut cells. Here. So we've got our name, we've got the cost, we've got the effect. Sorry, and we've got the discount. And then we have the amount of cards that we need to instantiate depending on the number of players. Good, I'm so happy I found this. All right, so we're good with that. We will save as, and this will be called Age1. Age1. Yeah, let's just use Age1. Cards dot, actually not dot, but just use CSV. Save it like that. Yep, it's cool. And I should now have this here. So that's my column name. So the name, then a cost, which would be empty, then the effect, which would be the timber, then no discount, then no discount. Then if there's 3 players, just one of these, and it's 4, just, okay. And then, why do I have an empty field here? Me no likey. Me no likey. Let's get rid of that. Is there a way to get rid of that? Why? That's weird. Why would it? If I just go delete. I go file, save as, the exact same thing, but it already exists. Yes, replace it. Okay. There we go. Beautiful. If I look at the preview thing, that is perfect. That is exactly what I wanted. Beautiful. All right. So that's the one done. Let's do H2. Uh-huh. Oh, right. We have an additional column here. See, this is our cost. This is our name. We've already established we didn't need this, so bye-bye. We don't want you. Bye-bye. I don't need this. Bye-bye. Okay, and now yeah, we don't need this either. Got our numbers. This is our cost. Cool. Stone, loom. CCP would be clay, paper. Okay. Is that right though? Scriptorium, H2. H2 script. What is the scriptorium? Where is it? Wait a second. H2. Oh, not scriptorium, library. Library. is SSL. Is that correct? Library. Stone, loom. Yeah, okay. And the effect should be a hashtag. That's correct. And you can get it for free if you had the scriptorium. Script library. That's right. If I had the scriptorium, I can get the library. Very nice. Now, how am I going to deal with this? Okay, so we know we want the name first. Insert cut cells, cool. These are the effects. So effect, I think is, yep. Now what is that? Vineyard. Vineyard, we've got a weird thing here going on. V, do I know what V is? When you put stuff between parentheses, it's usually coins. And then, oh, I get it. Oh, that's, yeah, we're gonna need to find another. Okay, so if I'm reading his code right, this should be 1 victory point for each brown card held by the left player and right player. That would be the vineyard. Let's see if that's what that is. Vineyard. That's, oh, it's 1 coin. Okay. 1 coin. And how does the, oh, that's what the V is. It's an arrow pointing to you. Get it. What is the star? Why is there an asterisk? That is very interesting. I don't know why there's an asterisk. Oh, probably because with Haven and Lighthouse, you actually get a coin and also victory points, and that's just a way for him to basically say empty. Let's see, Haven. No, he's got a different, what? /**. What is that supposed to mean? Doesn't say. Template doesn't help. 1/**. What is the meaning of the /**? Take a look at this here. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. XX, those are military might points. Those are victory points. Very interesting. And this is in between parentheses, and this here, oh, and he's got like a different kind of, okay, so let's look at the difference between arena and, say, Chamber of Commerce, for instance. Arena and Chamber of Commerce. Okay, this has to do with wonder stages. So the arena gives you 3 coins. Is it 3? Is it really 3? Let's bring that back here so you guys can see. 3 coins. Yeah, it is 3 coins. Okay, just couldn't see, but 3 coins and 1 victory point per wonder stages built. This represents the wonder. Cool. Now, if we're getting back to our /* thing, for instance, the Haven. Where's the Haven? The Haven is here. 1 coin per each brown, 1 victory point per each brown, and then / asterisk. Let's take a look. There might be something that we are not thinking of. H3. So looking at this, the Haven gives you. So the card gives 1 coin per brown card present in players' cities when it is played. At the end of the game, the card is worth 1 victory point for each brown card present in the player's city. Clarification for the arena, the port, chamber of commerce, and the lighthouse. The coins are taken only once when the structure is built. The victory points are counted at the end of the game according to cards, and wonder phase is built at that point. I really don't know. I really don't know what this means. If it means anything at all. Oh, and what about this here? I don't know. We'll get to it. We'll get to it later. Now the question is, do I need to So actually, now that I'm thinking about this, this should be considered part of the effects. Or maybe not. What are they calling these? They're not. Chains, maybe? Chains, yeah. So this may need to be something different. Discount 1, discount 2. And this could be unless we get that, unless we call this chain 1. chain 1, chain 2, and this we call discount. Do I need, though? Do I need to code that on both cards? I mean, it's a nice... well, for now. Woo! Let's see. If I consider... Actually, let me use the on screen here. Okay. The lower right area indicates which structures, if any, may be built for free in the following age due to this card. And some structures can be built either by paying the requisite resources, or alternatively they can be built for free if the player has built during the previous age a structure indicated on the card. It doesn't help us with how to name these and how to consider them. Hey! What's up, Erie? What? I swear? I still don't know how to pronounce that. I'll just call you Y. How's that? Y. How you doing? Or where? Okay, let's go with that. Where? So how you doing? Where? That isn't. That is a word well, never mind a word I know how to pronounce. I think that's the only word in your name. Is Y-R-I-E an actual name? A word? I don't think so. Oh, maybe. Seems like it might be like an actual family name, a last name, a surname, similar surname, Yuri. Grime, how is that even remotely close? Rye, Marie, Okay, so how do you pronounce it though? That's what I'm interested in. Probably Erie, I'm guessing. Erie or Eri. They got rye here and fry, I'm guessing, and fries or freeze. Yeah, I don't know. There's a slight delay in chat. I don't know which one. I was just naming all of them. Man. Anyways, we'll stick to where. How's that? Oh, okay, hold on. Right, because the 5 is like an S. So yeah, that would be like Erie. Erie. Whatever. Sorry, man. I apologize. I apologize. Okay. So, oh yeah, you were on yesterday, eh? I was working on this game. So I found someone that was crazy enough to actually make an Excel spreadsheet of all the cards and the effects and all that stuff. So I'm just in the process of cleaning it up, making sure it makes sense, converting it to CSVs, and then I'll be able to use it, parse it easily, and use that data in the game. Now I'm just debating. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I think they finally made a computer version of the game. I don't know if it's available on PC. I think it's just like on mobile, and it's very recent. I don't think it's been out for a long time. But I know that some people actually made like little apps to help you play the game and count the points and stuff like that and make recommendations. I think there's even one where it uses AR, right? Like assisted reality. So you just like look at the game and it sees the cards and everything and it tells you stuff about the game. Oh, there you go. Cool. Well, I don't care, right? Because I'm not. I don't have any commercial aspirations with this. It's just for my own amusement and learnage. All right, so let's just not worry too much about that. We'll call this discount. We'll call this chain 1 and chain 2. But we will put the discount at the very end, or maybe. We'll leave it like that. We'll just put an empty. Okay, so we've got cost, then we'll have discount right here. Discount, and for these, it'll just be empty. Discount, and it'll just be empty. You don't get a discount in the first stage. So let's just save that again. Files, save as H1 card. Boop. You already have one, yeah. Cool with that. Okay, now this. Oh, I still have to deal with this thing here. Why does it have it? Does he have it take 2? Okay. Let's simplify this. We're getting 1. Oops. No. So we're getting 1 coin. Oh, and I need to find a. Oh, that's why. That is why. Just figured it out. I was wondering why this dude. So he's got this system here where coins are represented by a number in between parentheses. And I was wondering why he's got. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. He's got these ones here. They work just fine. I don't know. I don't know why he's got it that way. I don't know. He probably had a good reason, but and we'll just make that text. Text, 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 text. General text. And this is going to be 1. And then that's a good system. I like that. But we need a way to know that it applies to the brown cards. So could I just use B for brown? Am I using the B anywhere else? Don't believe I am. So let's just add to this brown cards. It's going to be B. Okay. Oh, that's not actually a V. That is some kind of other character that I don't see a need to use. Bye-bye. Okay. So where are you from? Canada. Ah, I'm in Montreal area. Toronto. Cool. Lived in Toronto for about 4 years. From around 2001 to 2004 or something like that. Okay, V. Anything here? Let's get rid of the color. Oops. Got rid of more than the color, didn't I? No fill is what it was. Okay. No fill. There we go. Okay. Now, oh yeah, I need to. So for each brown, let's put the B at the beginning. And now, oh, didn't register that. Brown cards. Then I can't use G for gray because we're already using it for glass. So gray cards are going to be, what are gray cards? What's another name for the gray cards? So maybe I should use R. So the brown cards should be R for raw materials, maybe. That's what the book calls it. I'm not using R for anything else. So why don't we do that? So R, and then we'll use this for, what is it? What are they called? Manufactured goods, so M would work. I'm not using M for anything else, so M. I think should be fine. Yeah, I lived on the corner of Dufferin and Davenport, pretty much. And between Dufferin and DuPont, I think it was. It's been a while, but that's what I remember. Let's see. Yay. Kingston. Casa Loma, yeah, I was pretty close to that, relatively speaking. DuPont, oh yeah, so no, I got this wrong. DuPont is from from west to east. So I was between Lansdowne and Dufferin on Davenport. Yeah, that's right. That's where I used to live. Yeah, we were kind of between Portuguese Town and Little Italy, right? So it was awesome during the World Cup, and by awesome I mean it sucked because whenever you know Portugal would play and win, then everybody from Portuguese town would like be all over the place, and if they played Italy, they would go over to you know little Italy and make a lot of noise and honking and all that, and then if it was Italy and ugh, yeah, but it was awesome for food. Yeah, got myself a lot of pastéis de nata and batatas, Portuguese chicken. It's good stuff, and Italian food too. On St. Clair, especially. Oh, there was this little place. What was it called for gelato? That was awesome. They had really good gelato. I forget what it was called. Mm. But yeah, we just walked there. It was pretty cool for that. It wasn't the nicest place. I mean, the nicest part of town where I lived. It wasn't the worst by far, but it wasn't the nicest. But you know, in terms of nice little restaurants close by for walking distance and parks and things like that, that was it's pretty good. It was kind of in a vacuum in terms of grocery stores and entertainment. You really had to take the bus and for, you know, a while before you'd get to those. Yeah. Yeah, most of that is in the core. And I guess it's like that for every city, but it felt in Toronto, it felt like it was, I don't know why, maybe because the transit, well, no, the transit was pretty good. Buses and streetcars and the subway was decent, I mean, from what I remember. No, it just happened that where we lived, like for groceries anyways, I remember groceries was a pain. We didn't have a car, just didn't make sense there. And but for groceries, yeah, it was like, ugh, need to go for a bus ride for like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes to get to the, have to lug your own shopping cart. Yeah, well, that's the thing. We didn't, so I would always have to go with my wife, and then we'd come back with like a bunch of bags on the bus. It just wasn't fun. That part wasn't fun, right? I mean, I live in the suburbs now, and I have a grocery store like a walking distance away, and a bank, and yeah, all those things. Like I just remember. I think for some reason, let me get. Hold on. I think for some reason Davenport, so the street we lived on, um, it didn't have much. You always had to go up to St. Clair or down to, what was it, Dundas? Hold on, where am I? North York? No. York, Toronto, St. Clair, Davenport. Yeah, okay, so there's Lansdowne, yeah. So this stretch here, and I was somewhere in between. There's like nothing. There's no banks, there's no grocery stores, there's no convenience stores, it's like nothing. And actually a little bit further out this way and that way too. So you'd have to walk up to St. Clair to at least like hit a bank or maybe like a convenience store or something like that. Or down to DuPont, not Dundas, DuPont. And even DuPont wasn't, yeah, there was a bit more on DuPont in terms of businesses and things like that. And you can see it too, like you see yellow, I think, is where businesses are. So Davenport is just like, it's kind of a boulevard. It's like a big street, but there's really not much except more houses. Dundas is where everything is. Yeah, yeah. So it's one down, isn't it? DuPont, and then you hit Dundas. No, it's Bloor. Okay. Where the heck is Dundas? Because I remember Dundas. Oh yeah. Okay, it runs that way. Yeah. So we'd end up often Bloor and Dundas. Because yeah, that's right. The subway line runs on Bloor. I remember that now. Man, it's almost 20 years ago now. 15 to 20 years ago. Loblaws. I think we used to go to, oh, there it is. No. Yeah, we used to go to that No Frills, I think. Man, it was, yeah. I think we went a few times and we really didn't like it. We felt poor going there. We felt really poor. Everything is yellow and like boxes all over the place, and it's like, ugh. Things are sparse around the city unless you are close to the harborfront core. Yeah, that's true. I remember that. Used to work downtown, so I'd have to take the bus and the subway. I worked like right downtown, next to what was it? Where is that? One of the tall buildings. The tallest building, I think, is the Bank of Montreal building, right? Or one of the tallest, anyways. So I think I was a building next to that. Anyways. And then I changed job, and I was working at what was it? Bloor and Yonge and Bloor. That's right, Yonge and Bloor. Boop, 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 boop. One of these buildings here, I think. Wow, a walk down memory lane. All right, back to the game. You're not poor, just well stocked. Okay, so this works. Material, and these are raw materials and manufactured goods. Okay, we've got our discounts here. Got our chain 1, chain 2. So we're good. Let's save that as a CSV. Save as H. Hold on. Yeah. Save as H2. This really should be cards. Cards. Cool. And H3. Now, okay, we've got the name first. So, oh yeah. First of all, let's get rid of this. Delete. We don't need these. Delete. We don't need these. Delete. And now, oh, I like what he's doing here, but that's gonna be, I'll have to figure out what to do with that later. So this is the name. This is the cost. This is the effect. This is the discount. So we want the name first. Insert cells, yeah. Then we've got our discount, then we've got our cost, then we have our effect. And now, I still don't know What the /* is supposed to represent, I have no idea. No idea. Oh, whatever. So let's get rid of it. So where do you work as a dev? And these ones don't have, okay. Cool. What's your specialty? Language of choice. Front end, back end, games, full stack, IoT, or any other mobile. Full stack. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. All right, I'm gonna need to, so these are applicable for raw materials and for this and for that. Cool. So then, and this applies to manufactured goods and for this and for that. So I should probably do the same thing here. Boop. That. Okay. And what about language? Stack. What's your stack? Delphi. QBasic. Fortran. Oh, cool. Elixir and Dart. So Dart is popular right now because of Flutter, right? Do I have that right? So do you guys work with Flutter? Is that why you're working with Dart right now? Dart with Angular? Or you mean Google's pushing hard for Dart, Flutter, and Angular? Or do you mean that you can actually use Dart with the Angular framework? Code once, use it on everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Angular for the web. Yeah. But I mean, Angular is TypeScript usually, right? It's not Dart. Yeah, okay. I like Angular. It's the framework I'm most familiar with out of the big three, if you will. React, Vue, Angular. It's the one I know best. Okay, so this works. I am satisfied with this. And this is also fine. Flutter transcompile into Java Objective-C. Right. At least last I looked at it, that's what I did. That's what it did. Yeah, it does. Flutter is, from what I remember, the idea is that you get to basically develop yeah, code once and you're good for Android and iOS, but not the web. That's the one thing. It would be cool if that's why I think, I don't know, I kind of feel I'd be interested to have your take on that. Um, I kind of feel that the future is uh, what do they call those? PWAs, right? Progressive web apps with the whole manifest thing, and I think that's the future. But time will tell. It's just great to be able to develop just code once, you know, HTML, CSS, whatever, JavaScript, and it works on mobile, you know, cell phones, laptops, tablets, whatever you want. Even offline if you do it properly. What's your take on the whole PWA thing? Scientists, what is that doing? Scientists. Ah, it gives you an extra. Right, cool. So I think the problem with web is that you lose a lot of specific quirkiness you might want to code with. Say for an example, put that into the context of a game. Oh yeah, sure. I'll give you that. Right now, I mean, if you're developing a game for mobile, I'm with you. I think depending on the kind of game, but yeah, I think you'll probably want to go native. Um, but I mean, with the canvas now in HTML5, you can do some pretty cool stuff. I've seen some really cool games, just, you know, using HTML and the canvas and JavaScript, especially now. Actually, especially now with what's it called? WASM, right? Not WASM. Well, yeah, well, WebAssembly, right? So I don't know. I think in the near future, I think I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of a toss-up. I'm not sure yet where things are gonna go. Why did I just open that? I don't know. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was looking at this. So this should be like that. Oh, that's interesting. Smart text. Um, Hey, Lumi. Didn't even see you there. So I feel there's always a use case that you can argue why you shouldn't, but in general, for something simple, say to-do list, you're fine. Yeah, as in compiles to web. Yeah. Flutter uses Skia for rendering and Skia as a WebAssembly canvas backend. Okay, cool. Not sure if it's out of experimental though, so we may eventually actually see it happen. Well, then that would be cool. And you could just use Flutter for everything. Okay, so for some reason it's thinking that it's a hyperlink. I don't really care. I'm gonna convert that to a CSV anyways. But okay. So we're getting this for that, and this is science, I think it's called. Kansas would be really weird with a Flutter context. It's quite opinionated in how it wants to deal with things, but I don't see why not. Yeah, everything's possible, right? So this is called scientific structures. No, commercial structures are the yellows, but C is already used, so Y isn't though, so let's go with Y. So yellow cards going to be Y. That. And these are, the green cards are scientific structures. I can't use S. I can't use G. So scientific, green cards. Green cards are going to be, what can I use? S is already taken, G is already taken. Well, I guess E, because I can't use R either. So let's just go with E. Need to use something. E. Boom, boom. I would love to see that happen. The thing with Flutter is that it has a low-level backend with Skia, etc., which should make it easy to plug in a new platform like the web with Canvas and an event translation layer. We'd love to see that happen, and I have more freedom to do things with it. I'm personally not convinced that Dart is such a good language, though, and I don't particularly like the Flutter architecture, but sure. I personally never worked with Flutter. I heard good things about it. I know people that do work with it and seem to like it. So red cards will be, can't use M, I can't use R. So I'll just use B, or E, no, or D. Let's use D. Red, R-E-D. Red cards will be D. There we go. And now, what is that thing? Strategists. What does it do? Strategist. Strategist. There it is. -1. 1 victory. What does that do? I think Dart is just okay. I have two since I work with it. And I kind of like the tree structure it has to paint things for mobile apps. I personally prefer it over XML. Yeah, XML, not my favorite either. So if it's using a tree structure to paint things, it's using like the composite pattern. So like the DOM basically. Is that what we're talking about here? Oh, there we go. Okay. Strategist Guild. 1 victory point for each defeat token present in neighboring cities. Okay, cool. Simple enough to understand. So we get 1 victory token. Personally prefer it. It certainly is slightly better than writing plain old Android Java, for example, but it being a framework, totally agree on that. Let's see. If I just use a dash, I think that would be... Nope. Get back to text. No equals. There we go. So for each victory token, to the left, to the right, you get 1 victory point. For each defeat token, you get, okay. So I should put that here somewhere too. Defeat token is represented by a. It's similar to the DOM, yeah. Frameworks like Angular and Flutter have a tendency to stack complexity on top of complexity to solve yet another problem. Isn't that true of most frameworks? Building your own abstractions usually involves a lot of technical knowledge. Find yourself fighting the framework, basically, is what you're saying? Yeah, so for a subset of use cases, it is great, but outside of those, you are out of luck. Right. Okay, and this here, ship owners. 1 victory point for each brown, gray, and purple card in your own city. Right. Okay. Wait, what? And purple. He's got that wrong. He has blue. So for each brown, gray, and purple, is that? Looks like it, yeah, okay. My experience, you will always run into these other use cases no framework covers at all. So you always end up with some really messy code someplace. So are you a proponent of no framework? Building your own framework for every project, every time? Unless existing frameworks are a perfect fit or a near perfect fit. Yeah, I get that, yeah. Proponent of simplicity and decomplected design. That's, you know, I totally get that because, and I have probably very little experience compared to you. I have worked with Angular, and I felt that too, right? And I worked on pretty simple stuff, relatively simple stuff. And I was often thinking like, man, this is complicated for what I'm trying to do. It makes certain things easier, but it also makes other things much more complicated than they need to be, is what I feel. It never seems like a perfect fit, basically. That's just how I felt using it. Okay, so how do I, okay, I'm just gonna do, so brown is R, this is, and then purple is going to be, I can't use G, what am I gonna use? Let's see, purple cards are going to be U. Don't use U, so separate this. U, so you get one of those for each that you have. Okay. This I already did. Magistrate is blue cards. Is that right? Magistrates for blue cards, and blue cards are called science, I think. Scientific cards. So we can't use S. So blue cards. Let's use, we can't use L, it's already in use. U is already in use, E is already in use. Okay, so let's think science. S is already in use, C is already in use, so I, let's go with I. Blue cards are I. So I. Boom, boom. Okay, and builders. What does that do? Builders. Oh, it's the, okay. So one per stage. We'll just use W to represent the wonder stage. So one per wonder stage that you have and your neighbors. OP is another one of those areas where, as a side effect of how most systems get designed, end up with exactly that kind of complexity. Not to say there are some really good designers in OOD, but 90% of the people I know have no clue on how it's actually done properly. Person that does not know how OOP is supposed to be designed. Yeah. Let's all go back to writing, what is that called? What came before OOP? Procedural code? Is that it? With like the go-to statements and stuff like that? Like assembly? No, not necessarily like assembly. Like, I think like the early versions of BASIC, or what's other languages? Is it Fortran? Is it Fortran? Was Fortran with go-to state and stuff? It didn't have while loops. It didn't have. I don't think it even had. Did it have conditionals? Yeah, of course it had conditionals. No, I don't know. I don't know which one I'm thinking about. Oh, I wouldn't know. I never coded in. That is before my time. I don't know. I just remember reading about that. I have limited knowledge. I just remember reading that paper from, what's that guy's name? Jigstra, something like that. You know, like go to considered harmful or something like that. Which basically kind of started the whole let's use loops thing. They all have goto. It's fun for a time. I didn't really understand how programs work without it. How programs work without goto? Well, loops, right? Loops are kind of an abstraction over gotos, aren't they? Unless I got this completely wrong. I don't know, I didn't look into it that much, but that was my understanding. Whoa. Lumi just wrote a chapter there. Rule number 1, don't use OOP, FB, logic, or procedural throughout the entire application. Choose which one to use on a module by module basis. I like that, yeah. Interfaces make sense at a library boundary. The best way to design a fast and simple algorithm to a problem is procedural. And the best interface for algebraic problems that benefit from composition, or if you need assurance, experimentation, flexibility, go with FP. Yeah, FP is, I don't know, I'm learning about it slowly in bits and pieces here and there. Once in a while I'm like, okay, I'll try to, really understand it more. And then I hit monads. And I'm like, whoa. I like the principles of FP. A lot of them anyways. Pure functions and no side effects and that kind of stuff. But when you start getting into set theory and all that, ooh, endofunctors, there you go. And monads are just monoids in the category of endofunctors. What's the problem? Right. The problem is I don't know what a monoid is, or an endofunctor, or even, for that matter, a category, or a problem. Okay. So we've got that covered. We've got that covered. These are just easy ones. This is, arena. What is arena? Get stuff per, let's take a look. Arena would be a yellow. Oh. Okay, interesting. And you get 3. Let's take a look here. 3. Where is it? Okay, the card gives 3 coins per wonder stage constructed in its home city at the time it comes into play. At the end of the game. Okay, the usual. Got it. Monads are just monoids. There are actually two big camps in FP, the typed functional pure and the untyped functional, for example, Lisp. And in my humble opinion, I added the humble for you. They are sufficiently distant that calling them by the same name is actually problematic. Oh, interesting. So Haskell, in which camp would that fall? And I've never used Haskell, I just heard about it, but learn you Haskell for great good. Typed FP is great when you need actual abstractions to deal with problems that are more complicated than you can fit in your head. Well, you just described every single problem I have. And let the math of types guide you to a solution. Okay. I see what you're saying there. Okay, so this will be wonder. And should have the V. Good, good, good. This is just military stuff. All right, I think I can just get rid of these. Delete altogether. Now, do they all have the same thing? Name, discount, cost, effect, chain 1, chain 2. Okay. Need to have those here, even though I'll just make the parsing easier. I think, maybe not. Chain 2. Fill, good stuff. Then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, okay. Most simpler practical problems can actually be done way more effectively in untyped FP Lisps, etc. You can find the, oh no, that's my stuff. All right, cool. Oh, I need to add, almost didn't see that, so I need to add, what was it? Raw material. Yellow, we ended up going with Y, and gray was manufactured goods. Okay. Oh, wait. I think it was only for your own, wasn't it? Like Haven. Yep. So they should be like this. That. Like that. Okay. I think we're good. Let's take a look, make sure I didn't. Okay. And all right. Gives 1 coin per. All right, let's save all of these in CSVs. So this is going to be age 1 cards as a CSV. Yep, cool. This will be age 2 cards, CSV. Yeah, replace it, sure. And age 3 cards as CSVs. Now, delete this one. I've got my CSVs. They seem to be properly formatted. Oh. This here. What do I do? What do I do with this? Do I, because it's not actually a card, it's just something to tell us how many of the purple cards we should have. I'll leave it in there. I'll figure it out. Okay, cool. So that went well. I've got the raw data. Now I was in the process. By the way, the reason frameworks are problematic is mostly that you end up creating a dependency of your entire application on a rather large set of APIs provided by the framework, which architecturally speaking is a coupling that's practically impossible to get rid of. It's fine if your project is supposed to last 2 to 3 years or less, but if it's going to last more, yeah, I hear you. I've often wondered about that too. I read a while ago Uncle Bob Martin's book, Clean Architecture, I think it was, and some really interesting principles in there. A lot of stuff about not coding to implementations but interfaces. Exactly. Well, anyways, partly so that you can make testing easier, but also so that you are not stuck depending on third-party code and making it easier to switch if you ever need to switch. And yeah, when you use a framework like Angular, for instance, it's hard to see how like a full-blown application written in Angular would be easy to switch over to something else, you know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if the third-party code interface is like 500 files, it's again prohibitive to migrate. The trick is to always code against simple interfaces. Example, take a look at React. Yeah, but to be fair, React is more of a library, right, than a framework. Which makes it more flexible. And then you get into the whole like configuration over what do they call that again? I forget. Convention over configuration, right? So Angular is like super opinionated, but because of that, it's got a lot of stuff built in. It saves you from making a lot of choices and being paralyzed by, you know, which library should we bring in to manage state or manage this or do that or whatever. And but you're stuck using their architecture. All right, so I'm going to keep going with what I was doing yesterday. We had started, no, that's not what I want. What do I want? I want this, okay. There we go. We were, I think, basically modeling our nouns. If you have an experienced team, you can make your own state management. Redux is super simple. A good dev could write it in a day or two. I see a pattern here, Lumi. It seems like you think that everything can be written in a day or two. You know, not everyone's a 10x programmer. The trick to doing stuff is to not use too many dependencies, just make your own. Yeah, I kind of like that. It's hard, and I think even especially so in the JavaScript ecosystem, where with NPM and everything, we're like encouraged to, don't reinvent the wheel, and then you end up like bringing in third-party code for like, a function. That's like, 15 lines of code instead of implementing it by yourself. But then you end up depending on all these things, and then there's security to keep in mind, and what if the guy stops supporting it? And so lately I've been thinking more about just rolling your own code, making your own code for as much as you can anyways. People don't learn how to do things if they just use other people's work all the time. Yeah, that is true. So it is hard, and it stays hard. That's a very good point. React's fiber architecture is definitely non-trivial stuff, yeah. So Lumi, do you contribute to any of these open source projects you seem to know a lot about? Discard pile. We need to keep track of the age, players. I don't contribute all that much, but I have a rule to always read and understand how it works before I use a library, so I know a bunch of the internals. Wow. So you probably don't use a lot of it of libraries. I mean, it's time consuming, isn't it? Like whenever I hit a problem in, let's say when I'm using Angular, and I'm like, okay, I really need to see how this is working under the hood, and then 2 hours go by, and I'm like, well, I understand Angular a little bit better now, but, and that was just like, this much of the whole project. Interesting. Okay. So I think that's pretty much it for game. So you guys remember what we were trying to do yesterday? Do you think of anything that should be added to the game class? Same goes with understanding how, say, the V8 JavaScript engine works when you start working with JavaScript. Although I'm still learning new stuff there, it's a moving target. Or at least reading the JavaScript spec. Yeah, I did that too. I mean, not the whole thing. I do it. I keep doing it, right? Every time I'm like, I wonder how this works under the hood. So I take a few minutes and go look at the spec and maybe V8's code, or you do learn a lot doing that. So it's kind of investment, right? That's how I guess we should see it. an investment really, because you may feel it slows you down a little bit, right? If you're, and I'm guessing like that, I seem to see that being pushed a lot in the industry, like, just like move fast and break things, and you just, you have to just ship, right? And but if you take a bit of time here and there to try to better understand how the technology that your code runs on, it'll just over time make you a much better software developer, I would think. So yeah, right now it might slow you down a little bit, but you're going to get like exponential return over the mid to long term. Problem is, I'm guessing that many employers are not willing to make that investment. So they just want you to, you know, who cares how it works? Just make it work and ship it. That's kind of the feeling I get sometimes reading some of the articles and listening to some of the videos from other devs. All right, so we've got our game class. We've got our player class pretty much fleshed out. I think it's not necessarily a consideration for management. It's more the responsibility of the devs to make the time and still get their work done. Yeah, that's a dangerous. I hear you. That's a dangerous thing, though, right? It's an easy thing to say, I would think, in a seller's market. Yeah, I mean, in a good employment market where the way I see it, anyways, I think the economy is pretty good globally, and I think there's a there's a short supply of developers, right? So it's a smart personal investment for developers right now to take their own time, unpaid time, to get even better at their craft and their work, because then they can easily translate that and quickly into higher pay by switching employers or renegotiating, and they've got they've got a lot of negotiating power right now. But it's not always the case that it's sometimes there's just the employment market is not as good, and then even if you invest more of your free time in getting more knowledgeable and better, it's going to be a lot harder, not impossible, but a lot harder to turn that quickly to get a return from that, right? Because it's harder to negotiate a pay raise with your employer, and it's harder to get a different job. I think at that every professional needs to account for time researching, educating, etc. Yeah, to an extent, if you're self-employed especially. I think at that point you're better off as a consultant instead of an employee. That's also what I would think, right? Obviously, if you're a consultant, self-employed, whatever you want to call it, then yeah. But if you work for a company, I mean, it's debatable. They should be investing. They want you to be more performant. They should be the ones investing in you getting better. But then it's difficult because, especially in this kind of market, then they're like, yeah, we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him to increase his skills, and then he's just gonna go out and try to find a different job, a better paying job or whatever. So it's a complicated issue. I think there are plenty of devs, but not so many that are actually worth what they want to get paid. Well, that's probably the case of every kind of profession or job, or everyone wants to get paid more. It's often ridiculous how some projects need so many devs just because the people are incompetent. Again, probably true of pretty much everything in life. It, you can take your exact statement and say it's often ridiculous how some projects need so many construction workers just because the people are incompetent. It's often ridiculous how some projects need so many designers because it's like that's just a what do you call that? A truism? Like it's a general statement for pretty much everything in life. You would need less people if people were more competent, and the average person is not all that competent in whatever they are doing because oftentimes they're not all that interested in the thing that they end up doing in life, is what I have found to be true. So we've got our player, we've got our game, we've got our construction, which is the cards. Let's see what else is happening in this game. We're setting up the deck, so deck deck comes back often. So maybe deck would be the next thing we can think about. But either way, in my experience, I can tell you that management helping employees learn new things is not nearly as effective as a real professional managing his own self-education while in an employment situation. Yeah, I would think that is true because a person that cares to learn and to get better won't wait after management to seek out learning opportunities. So that's definitely true. Um, like I don't even work, right, as a software developer and look at what I'm doing. I just love it so much that I spend an incredible amount of time coding and learning about coding and reading about coding. It's crazy. It's like nonsense. I'm not making a single dollar from this stuff yet. Anyways, I'm probably going to in the coming months. But so yeah, even if I end up working somewhere where the company doesn't want to pay a single dime to send me to some, I don't know, whatever, learning stuff, or to pay for some training or whatever, I'm gonna do it anyways. Come just because it's basically not work to me. It's just so darn interesting. Trick is to push back on assigned work so you have plenty of time to work on those things within the consideration of having at least average performance. Yeah, yeah. Not an easy thing to do though, right? Because that's also true, probably not not just in software development, but in other kind of work. And yeah, if you can't manage that, you need to change the workplace. I would agree with that. I wouldn't be happy with probably a work environment where they don't allow me a bit, of flexibility where I can actually get better at what I'm doing and explore, right? Explore different ways to do things. Because either the place is managed wrong or you are not smart enough to keep up. Well, that's a good point too. Like if you feel like you're always like, oh man, I can't keep up and I don't have time to, yeah, makes the sense. All right, so new colon TS. Um, yeah, if you can barely keep up, you are already at least 200% over your optimal quota. Export class deck. didn't I already... What did I do? Oh, I had this type here. What is a deck? What is a deck? A deck is an array of construction. Do I need anything more than that? Well, let's see. Let's think about this here. Because if I... Okay, I think what we had started doing yesterday, the idea was to kind of flesh out the highest level of abstractions in terms of our elements. And we ended up doing game, player, and construction in terms of the nouns. Now, would we normally, and be interested to know what you think about this, keeping in mind that I'm going to keep going with the philosophy that we had started yesterday. Like, I understand this might not be the way you would do it, but I think you're experienced and smart enough to know what we were trying to do. Would I keep going down the abstraction layers and just implement every class corresponding to my nouns? Or should I at this point start implementing behavior in my game class or my player class or my construction class? Do you understand what I mean? Like, what would be in keeping with what was his name? Finding Amy, looking for Amy, was kind of getting me to do yesterday. Check it out. That's a pretty cool little extension I found to look at CSVs in a nice little formatted thing. Oh, okay, I can tell you from experience that trying to create a full domain design before doing any behavior without having solved a similar problem before always results in chaos. Either you do a lot of rework later, restructuring things, or you put in a bunch of hacks. Yeah, so, and that's a bit what you were saying too yesterday. You preferred starting with the behavior. All right, so why don't we do that? Why don't we start adding behavior to what we have here, and we'll figure a bit the rest as we go along. So the classes are supposed to be about behavior and not about data. Anyways, yeah, no, you're right. Right, it's just like a way to package the data that the behavior is acting on, as my understanding conceptually. Okay, so the first thing, I'm not against writing an interface to the metadata of that CSV though, for example. Right. And I think we're gonna have to do that if I'm gonna start, like if I'm thinking of behaviors now, the first thing the game needs to do, actually the first thing the game needs to do, well, it's that you don't necessarily assume, say that's the one you end up using later. internally in the design. Right. I see. I see what you're saying. All right, so if if it was up to you, what would be your next step here? I'm curious. Like if we're thinking that we're going to be dealing with behavior now, we're going to try to implement some kind of behavior. So write a function, a method, or whatever is going on here. Oh yeah, there we go. And what about you, Where, if you're still around? Love your input on that too. So I don't really know the game, but usually a game is something that you set up, given a number of players, then make a sequence of moves and eventually result in a win condition. Yeah, that is a good way to describe it, and that's exactly right. So that's why I had setting up, right, as one of the first verbs, and shuffling and things like that. So working on the setup, I mean, makes sense chronologically. Or even like thinking of well, let's see. The only real user input we need to get things going is the number of players. That's pretty much the only thing that the user needs to supply the game, the program, before the program can set up the game. Okay, so I'd write a few functions here like setup, number of players, make move, available moves, yeah. Move, game, what's a typo? Gotcha. Yeah. Available moves would be a set. Okay. Well, available, actually, that is even simpler than that. I don't think that we need an available moves because our hand, we have a, well, okay, so they're the same thing. So I was thinking of having, and we do, I think we had an interface for this. But anyways, it's just, I had it as an array, but a set could be fine as well. Although, yeah, doesn't make much of a difference anyways. Yeah, there's no complicated way to compute what are the available moves for each player, because the available moves are quite simply the cards they have in their hand. Semantically, that's equivalent. Yeah. Exactly. Well, actually, that's not entirely true, right? Because you need to choose. Okay, let's just go step by step. So, if I was to say, let's, for instance, you suggested a simple function that's called setup, and you pass in the number of players. Cool. Semantically, can do move. Just checks if move is part of the set of available moves. Right. Okay. So I could have game. So I would. Either I make this a method of the game object, or just a helper function. A set of available moves you could represent lazily, on demand, or strictly pre-computed. Yeah. I think it makes sense to just pass in the number of players to this. So player. Oh, we also need their names, right? Player has. You need their name, right? So you could pass in into the constructor either an array of players, and you end up making your. Okay, so let's try that. Player. That would make sense, right? You can't really start the game without players. And then we could just have. Should I make the game a singleton? Ooh, let's start a debate about the benefits and the pitfalls of singleton. The singleton pattern. I knew I would get strong reaction to that. People love to hate singletons. Yeah. Okay. So you want us to be able to instantiate game objects like willy-nilly? Alright, so let's call this setup game. Well, not setup game, but maybe start game. Start game. Player. At this point, do I need to think about player inputs and how the front end's gonna work? Like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do for the front end. Am I gonna make an Electron app? Am I gonna make this a web app? I don't know. Single responsibility. Try describing what the game object is supposed to do. Ensure it only has one reason to change. Yeah. SRP. Player number. Because right now I can't help but I'm thinking about the player experience here, and you're going to be asked how many players want to play, and they're going to get a chance to supply their name, right? I'm going to create player number, a player classes. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go, what? Try to use the adapter pattern to integrate with UI. Cool. So, in other words, just do whatever I want, and we'll make it fit. Is that what you're saying? Make the actual game with zero infrastructure. With zero infrastructure, how would you describe infrastructure? I'm thinking database when you're saying infrastructure. All it does, it take moves, give you available moves, and tell you what the game looks like. Yeah, so state, and basically a state machine, kind of, right? Complicated state machine. You then have a game UI adapter or something that integrates it with the UI. Cool. All right. Getcha. All right. So if I'm thinking this is going to be like the high level representation of our game, I need to instantiate it. In order to instantiate it, I need to pass in players. So I need a function that takes that information from I don't know where, I don't care where, we'll figure that out later. So if I call it start game or start game, then just pass in, well actually I don't even really need that, I just whatever, pass in the player array, an array of player objects, right? Set up game like in the real world, then roll first player, etc. Okay, so function setup. So basically, okay. So I should probably do this in some sort of like a main file. And then do, okay, here's the function, setup game, setup game. Setup game is going to take, you could even start with new game, then setup game. Number of players, then roll first player, start game. I like it. I like it. So new game, but start simple first, right? So new game. I need to set up. All right, so I'm probably going to get just an array of strings that are going to be the players' names. Now, actually, I need both. I need how many players you want, and then give me the names of the human players. And then I'll fill in the rest with AI players. So that would be the new game function. It would take an array of strings. Oops. Other way around. And it would be called names. Right? And I would need a number of players. It's a simple number. Right, something like that. And then with that, I would create player objects. So I'd create a new, so okay, so const game would be a new game. An API like that implies potentially complicated logic. Cool. So you'd make this even simpler? How would you like? I mean, at some point I'm gonna have to do this, but I'm open to suggestions and game player dot add human player name, add AI player dot build the builder pattern. Right. I just learned about that actually the other day. So I used the builder pattern to build the game. Or game players. Let's see. What am I expecting here? All right, so okay, let's make a. I like it. I like it. So let's make a game builder. Right. And then pass that as an argument in setup game players. Get you. Okay. So that's even so basically a game players builder is what you would do. So what would that, okay, so game players builder and okay, so forget about that for now. So game players. The reason is that you want to keep the responsibility of games simple. So keeping any kind of potentially complicated player info separate from it. Right? Game players builder. Now if I remember the builder pattern, you have a build function that would new up the players. You would need some kind of, let's see. Okay, so I would have a players array, right? Right in here. Players array of type players, player array. You would then expose only the essential player information to the core game, and for a game it's irrelevant what a player's name is, only the ID and the number of players to verify the number is within range. Okay. So players. And then I would have add player. Add player. Am I supposed to make this static? Are these static or are they? It's not static, nothing static on that. So I actually have to new up a game player builder and then use that. Oh yeah, because we use chaining and the chaining API, right? With the builder pattern. Okay, so an immutable one would not be using a chaining API then. Which returns a new copy of itself on every mutation. Oh yeah, okay, so it could still be a chaining API. You just need to return a new. I get ya. All right. Cool. In both cases, it's a chaining API, yeah. All right, so add player would take in a name. Let me just look at what you had. Add human player, add AI player. I like it. Add human player. Add human player. It's going to be 1. And that takes in a name. Don't worry about what it does later. And then we'll add AI player. Add AI player. And then the AI player also is going to have a name. player color if that's relevant here. Yeah, it might be later. For now, actually we can. AI players will have a name too. All players will have a name. So we're just gonna assign some name to the AI player somehow. Okay, so in practice in here, we would go ahead and do player builder. No, actually, you could make them optional. Yeah, and auto generate one. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Now, where would the auto generation of the AI player name take place? Would it be in this AI player function or outside of this class, and then you would pass in the generated name? I do it in the builder. Cool. So then let's make it optional, as you have suggested. So a new builder would essentially, okay, so each of these return, let's do this, return a new instance of game players builder, game players builder. The idea is that you want the core objects to be simple, so no magic. Any magic on builders, factories, etc. How would you define magic? What do you mean by magic? Game players builder, return new, game players builder. So builders, factories, generating an AI name is something that's not obvious. It's happening from the API, i.e. magic. Okay, cool. So, okay, so if I'm doing it immutable like you are suggesting, then that means that I need a constructor to take in the parameters that I'm keeping in here. So constructor, let's just put that right in there. Why the heck not? Public. Okay, and then I can just go this dot players. So that's what you had in mind, I'm guessing, in terms of making it immutable. You probably want to make that a private constructor. Well, if I make it a private constructor, I then need a static well, it's not that bad. I've done stuff like that before. So okay, cool. I make it a private constructor. Then I need a static method to be able to make my first instance of game players builder, right? That's what you had in mind. Okay. You need to clone the array in this player. Oh man, that's a good point. Because otherwise it's just a pointer to Yeah, I prefer to do this. Or actually, here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we are going to do. Add another one. You're talking about slice, or you're talking about what I was doing with the spread operator? This is what I'll show you what I normally do. Tell me what you think with arrays, because I find it so easy to, oh, right. Yeah, that would be, that's true. I wasn't thinking that far ahead, but yeah. That's often what I would do for arrays. There. That's what I would normally do. I would return an iterable. And then it is your responsibility to do whatever you want with it. You wanted an array, just turn it into an array. Wanted to do something else with it, just whatever. But don't touch my original array, you know? That's kind of what I usually do. What do you think? Good idea, bad idea? So then I would do this dot players like that. Boom, boom, boom. I know. I don't know why, because I think it's really good practice personally, and you see it done in I think in Java and C#. Well, they're not called iterators, they're called enumerators, I think, in C#. But anyways, the idea is that when you have a collection, it's usually, from what I've read in many places, encouraged that you don't actually return the collection. You return some kind of iterable. Who are you? Hello, sir. The horniest, what? The horniest of men. The horniest of men. Nice to meet you. I am the second horniest of men. I am Snowfrog Dev. My name is Phil. Nice to meet you. Actually, I think iterable may be problematic because it makes it hard to use idiomatic JavaScript APIs like map. Well, I mean, not really. All right, so unless I'm, not thinking of the same kind of use cases you're thinking. But so let's say I am, you cannot be the horniest, but the pleasure is all mine. So let's say I'm calling some kind of API. So I'm doing, I don't know, call foo is equal to whatever you gave me dot get something. And then I'm like, it would be really cool to get an array from that so I can map over it. But oh no, crap, you're returning an iterable. What am I going to do with this? Well, I'm going to do that. Boom, boom, boom. Like that, and then dot map. And do whatever I want, right? You know what I mean? No complicated. The spread operator makes that stuff really easy now. So dot slice gets you the same encapsulation. You're right. You're right. I just like how it's obvious when you're returning the iterable. It is obvious that you're not getting the stuff that's inside the class, you know. Well, I don't know if it's not idiomatic. I mean, it is a function on the array. It's part of the public API. It's not, I didn't dig in deep to the prototype or anything like that. But yeah, sure, whatever. What am I building? A game. I am making this game. This is a board game called Seven Wonders. It is a wonderful game. If you've never had the chance to play it, I highly recommend it. Fun for the whole family. So I'm trying to make that game on my computer. Okay, so I will go with just using, I was just showing you anyways what I like to do sometimes. Can I see where you're at? Oh, I have nothing to show on screen. We're just doing the engine. Dealing with game mechanics, we're just starting. So, public, or do I still keep this private? No, I'm gonna make it public. And where was I? Oh yeah, we were saying we just return this dot players. Builder pattern, yep. Yes, sirree. Our friend Lumi Leet as idea. And I like it. This dot players, and then we're adding to it, like you said. So new. Well, let's just make it here. So const new player. Whoops. Const new player is equal to how long you've been coding. I don't know. It's been about 2 hours, I would say. I know what you mean. About 3 years part-time. I don't actually work as a programmer. This is all just for fun. For now, I do intend to make the switch probably in the next few months. Actually venture out into the world and maybe find a real job coding, because I love it so much and I really want to make this a full-time thing. New player, so instantiate our new player, and all the new player needs is a name. Awesome. I think so too. Thank you. Cool. Now, if we don't have a name, we need to create one. So if there's no name, then a name is, I feel I'm freaking you out. Why? You're not freaking me out. Why would you be freaking me out? Do I look like I'm freaked out? Pretty calm. Happy, but calm. Zen. Okay, so name is equal to, hey, let's make it Lumi 1337. Boom. I'm gonna have to get you to sign a what do you call that? An agreement or something. Jesus, yeah. Why not? No, I like Lumi Leet. But eventually it's going to be something that generates a random name. But for now, if you didn't supply a name, all my AI players will be called Lumi Leet. Alright, so then new player name. So what do you think of doing stuff like this, right? Since you're a big proponent of FP, I'm actually mutating. I'm mutating this here, right? For or against. Oh yeah, that's true, but I'm just obviously obviously I'm going to make the like some sort of generator here, right? I don't want all my players to be named the same thing. So if somebody creates an AI player and doesn't supply an actual name here, this is just a placeholder. I'm going to have some sort of way to generate a random kind of name here. Do you get what I am doing? Because yeah, if all I wanted to have was a default, that's what I would do. But I just know that that's something's going to come here, right? I love using default parameters in JavaScript and TypeScript. Oh yeah, that's sure, sure. All right, okay, let's do that. I like that. That I can get behind. So then we'll just make this name, and then actually name is equal, yeah, that's right. Name is equal to name, or this dot generate AI name. This is how I do it. No, it's saying I don't have the, oh, I didn't mean to put it in the parameter list. Oh, okay, but I mean, I thought that's what would work though, wouldn't it? I thought that's what you meant, but cool. Let's do that then. Name is equal to name, or this dot generate, what did we say, AI name. It's gonna be private. Private, generate AI name. And am I gonna pass anything to that thing? No, I'm not. I am not. You're gonna be returning a string. And for now, you're just gonna return Lumi 13337. Okay, there we go. So the new player is here, boom, doing that, then we're adding the new player. How's that? Do you approve? Oh man, it's almost. I've got about 10 minutes left with you guys. I'd make it an object to keep around the isHumanPlayer name. No, I'd make it an object to keep around the isHumanPlayer, comma, name, etc. Okay, so you're thinking what I'm going to be passing into the constructor, you mean? which you just made me think of something here. The data that's in Game Player's Builder should be opaque to itself. Opaque to itself. So I shouldn't be storing it in Game Builders? Is that what you mean? In Game Player's Builder? But you just made me think of something here. I need to add a flag. Is AI or human? Let's make it human player. That's just going to be a Boolean, and it'll default true to false, let's say. Actually, let's just put it in here. That's not necessarily going to be private. I don't know, whatever. For now, let's just make it read-only. Yeah, let's just make it public, whatever. No, we don't need to change that once it's instantiated. Read-only. Is human player, is a Boolean. There we go, okay. So it shouldn't import the player type to use as the internal data structure. It should only use that type on the build. Oh, and there shouldn't be any game state on player info at that point. So I'll make it just player info. Is human player name, boom, and possibly player ID number. Whoa. Okay, hold on here. So you're saying, if I'm unpacking everything you just said here, that I shouldn't be creating a new player this year. Am I understanding that part correctly first? Oh, it should, okay, it should only use it in the build. Yeah, I got ya. So this should not be, okay, I'm with you. I shouldn't be, it's taking me a while, but okay. So we're gonna make this some sort of object that would be, okay, so like a player info type. Okay. So let's make this an interface, I guess. Interface, player info, and you suggest that it has a is human player. Boolean, and what else? The name, name, an ID. Am I going to need an ID if I have a name? I think we can just use the name as the identifier. The name and the index in the array that we're going to store it in, maybe. I don't know. Keep the type of the internal state of the builder within the builder. Oh, so the interface I'm doing here, you don't want it to be available to the entire project? You don't think we're going to be using it, for instance, in our player class, or the whole point of the builder is to encapsulate? Gotcha. All right, well, okay. So I'd have it here, right? Because I mean, this is TypeScript. I cannot define a type or interface inside of a class, as far as I know. But anyways, now it's not available to the rest of the project. maybe player info and player builder state. Well, I mean, the player builder state is just gonna be an array of player info objects. And in the build, it wouldn't make a player info, it would make an array of, oh, I'm getting confused now. Isn't the purpose of game player's builder to output an array of player objects that correspond to this interface here? And then pass that into the setup game. Architecturally speaking, you would duplicate it and copy paste if it's the same. I'm not sure I'm following you there. There should be no coupling. Okay, there shouldn't be no coupling between player info and the player class. So this is what I was thinking. Forget about this here. So then you would go, there's the player, then we just add player is the stateful game object. Player info is a one-time created object that holds player info that never changes throughout the game. And player builder state is the internal state within the builder that's used to eventually create player info. Cool. I think I'm with you here. Except, oh well. Okay, then it would be, you can later put player info as an attribute within the stateful player. Yeah, okay, so I knew you were getting there. So that's cool. But then if that's the case, why don't we want player info interface to be available to, we wouldn't need it to be available to player here, right? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't we? Wouldn't that be useful? So essentially, player info is just some sort of value object that makes up the internal of the internals of the seer. Name is human player. Okay, so where maybe we're not on the same length, on the same wavelength, is that I was thinking that game players builder, the idea was to actually output. Okay, player builder state is local to the builder and never exported. Player info is a parameter to set up game, so it's part of the public API. All right, so what we're doing here, my vision was that at the end, when we would run build, what would be outputted, whatever, never forget about the interface name or whatever. What would come out of this would be the information for several players, for all the players in the game, not just for one player. Or is that what we're talking about? Because if that's what we're trying to do, then player builder state needs to be, is basically just an array of player info, and player info is what holds the information for one player, right? So, oh, so I would have, well, I mean, do I really need to make a player infos type? So player infos, which is an array of player info, is basically your player builder state, right? Although, okay, I think I understand what you're getting at, is that technically we should have a builder, we should have a player, single, one player builder. It seems silly right now because there's not much that we're putting into the player class, but there might be more later on, and this should be separate from building all of the players together. Is that what? So from OOD, you'd want to make player infos an opaque type. Being an array breaks that encapsulation. All right. So let's do this. I'm going to try to just do it and easy to make happen reliably in JavaScript or TypeScript. Right. So player infos is just an array of player info, right? Player info. So I'm just going to code and, stop me when I'm not doing what you think I should be doing. How's that? We're going to get opaque types in TypeScript soon. Cool. Would love that. You can simulate them with some tricks already. How? I'm curious to know. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's just keep going. So, all right. So if I'm following what you're saying, our game player's constructor is private, and it should take in a single parameter called players info, or players infos or player infos. Is it players info, players info, players info, player infos, players info. There's many players and they have info. Whatever. That's what I'm going with. Um, although it depends how you look at it. There's many player infos. Oh man. Okay, whatever. Let's go with that. Okay, so then I need to make this optional though, don't I? Because when I first create my game player's builder, I can't pass anything to it. And now here, game player's builder. I'm making a new player info. Singular this time. And it's going to be of type player info, which means it's going to be an object that has is human player. True. And the name is going to be the name. Okay, and then this, what did we call it? Players info. And then it's gonna go, well, but it could be undefined. That's not gonna work. Crap. Yes, that is true. So what do I do? Do I just do if? I could actually, actually player's info is just an array, right? So I could just make it empty if it's not there. Make an empty array, and this will work. Problem solved. And AI player, essentially the same thing. Just switch that to false, and we just switch our name here to name is equal name, or this dot generate AI name. Okay, basically to make opaque types, you create a type like this, const player. Okay, I need to copy paste that into the editor because Twitch chat is not the best thing to do. Symbol type. Okay, type here. Blah, blah, blah. Then construct it using this. Okay, so symbol. Oh, right. Pick player info, array, and player info is Boolean. And then construct it using player info, where you get set the attribute player info and or comma use. Okay, I get it. I think I get it. And I choose not to do that. I'm gonna wait for TypeScript to come up with a nicer way to have opaque types. This is a hack, yeah, but that's the most common use cause. You have no extra code at runtime. Okay. Then build would be, this would return a player infos. There are many libraries using that hash. Okay. Player infos. And then I would do return this dot player infos. I tend to use the same. Oops. our trusty F2 here. All right, so how are we doing so far? Is that kind of what you had in mind? Or just how it internally works, right? Anyways, this is not quite right. No! I was afraid you'd say that. The build should not return any internal data structures. Oh, right, yeah, sorry. My bad. Of that. Or should it return another type? Is that... Or should it create something else, or... Should create a new one. Okay, so I have created a new one. What you have now is a coupling of the builder towards the player infos. That's not advised and not what I meant earlier, but it's okay for now. So a coupling of the builder towards the player infos. Yeah, well, I mean, then there's something I'm not understanding, because at some point, player builder needs to game players builder, needs to towards the player infos. All right, so what needs to change here to get closer to what you had in mind? I don't care. This is good stuff. Like I'm learning about you know, design patterns and architecture and whatever. Was to localize that coupling in the build method. All right, so this, define localize. How would that be done? Oh, okay, I think I know what you mean. So that would mean you would not use the type player info anywhere but the build method. Yeah, okay. So then instead I would have a property is human player and name. No, I would just have all right, so if we didn't, let's say we're trying to do what you're saying here. So we don't actually have a player infos. So we're just passing, let's say, Right. So we would need a different, like, to define another type for what we're passing into our constructor. Is that what you're? I called it earlier game player builder state that actually has the same props as player. Okay, okay. Yeah. Totally get it. Totally get it. So type game player builder state. Am I gonna make this? No, I'm gonna make a. Yeah, is gonna be an array. Yeah, let's just make it a type. Yeah, whatever. It's going to be an array of objects that have these two properties. Now, is that more like what you had in mind? Game player builder state, and then game player builder state. No, that's not right. The point is that you may want to use, say, a linked list in the builder state and then convert it to an array or player info later. Right. Gives you more flexibility. But you should write it like array instead of. The TS-lint should warn about that. Really? It's interesting. I've never seen that warning in my entire life. And why would best practice against for readability? You know, I've always thought that, but for some reason, look, TypeScript itself, when it shows you the information, uses that syntax. Right? If I was to through was equals to 1, 2, 3. Boom. Right? Number square brackets. So if it's bad practice to use that syntax, why does the language itself use it? Oh, only you're saying, okay, it's fine if it's a primitive, for instance, but if you're gonna have like a, okay, exactly. All right, getcha. But again, I'm curious, will TypeScript do what you're saying? No, still, see? Even with objects, it's using the square brackets. Getcha. Yeah, but I agree with you. I'm not arguing. I just find it weird that TypeScript itself is not following that advice. But yeah, I do find it more readable. So cool. There we go. Perfect. So now we've got that. Now here I wouldn't be using the player info type again. I would simply just do this. Whatever. Because I'm not going to define another type. I mean, where does it end? Okay. So now, is that a little closer to what you would deem half decent design? You notice now that it just works, even though you don't do any casts. Yeah. Well, it wouldn't say anything here, but it would say something here, right? Like if I was to do 13, boom, yeah, okay. Yep. Sometimes I like to type stuff even if it's not, necessary, just to make it fast to know what we're expecting there. Cool. All right. So I think I'm gonna end it here. I'm already past my deadline. By the way, why array instead of array from array? 'Cause I like it. I don't know. I think the syntax is less clear to indicate what you are cloning. That you are cloning. Yeah, true. I mean, especially if you're not familiar with ES6 and spread operators. I'll give you that one. Um, but aside from that, is there a reason I shouldn't be doing it that way? I love using spread operators. I'm familiar with them. I find I find it very easy to understand what's going on when I see that kind of syntax. It seems very obvious to me that we're creating a new array from the elements that are in whatever's after the spread operator. Yeah, they're especially good when we're using them like I'm doing here, right? I'll give you that. I'll give you that. That's for sure. But they're a quick way to just shove stuff in an array, in a new array, right? Cloning arrays, I find it's like really easy to do that instead of doing slice or array.from like you're saying. But anyways, I guess that's just a matter of preference. Like, do you think that a lot of developers would be looking at this code and would be like, "Oh, what is going on here? I'm not like I'm that they wouldn't get that I'm just creating a new array from this array." Right? I think most JavaScript devs by now know this pattern. I might be wrong. Hmm. Interesting. That is very interesting. It's funny because I was kind of seeing it the other way. Ah, okay. Sure. Let me just check something here to see if I can refute that argument just for fun. But because I'm pretty sure you can do the same thing with array.from. Right? What can you pass in here? An array like. Oh yeah, it's true. That is one thing that I love, and not a lot of people know from the array.from, is that you can actually use a mapping function straight in there. An array-like or iterable object to convert into an array. So it could be a map, it could be, yeah, whatever. Arguments. Interesting. Cool. So array from match is more what we are trying to do, convert the internal array into the output array. They happen to be equal right now, but that's not necessarily always true. Yeah, you're right. You are right. All right, fine. You've convinced me. Let's do it that way. What is it we're passing in there? Player infos, right? I think so. Boom. Now, what about the fact that it's public? You don't have a problem with that? You don't think it should be private? It's important to be able to articulate your reasoning on design choices. I agree with you. That is true. That's what I'm loving about this stuff. So here we go. Private. That is also what I think it should be. All right, I think that's good. The only real thing that I need to change at some point is to make sure that we're not having all of our AI players called Lumi Elite. But I should probably leave it as an option in there as a tribute to you, sir. All right, I really have to go now. This was, as usual, a lot of fun. Thank you so much for your help. This is great. I am learning a lot thanks to you and others that visit my channel. All right, have a good weekend. I don't think I'll be on tomorrow. I doubt it, but I'll be back on Monday. Bye.